Where'd you go? Yeah, there you are.
I'm moving around. Hold on.
Lily's texted me. So I've been on these back-to-back videos all day. And then I get a text from her before I get on the phone with you. And she says, Mom, when you went to college, did you get college credit? So I go, well, oh, no. She said, did you get college credit? I go, well, what do you mean, for me? And she goes, yeah, when you went to community college. She's filling out a application for a 2-week thing at the University of Chicago over the summer for like a medical thing.
Okay.
So yes, I did, but I didn't get a degree. So she goes, so highest education is high school? Yeah. And she's so cute. She goes, it's okay! Exclamation. And I go, yeah, Dad makes up for me. And then, so will you. And then she asked because she had to fill this out, what high school did I graduate from? And I was like, wow, that's like a trip down memory lane. Spanaway, Washington, Bethel High School, 1991.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's that. Hi, honey, you look beautiful.
Well, so I've had quite a morning. Washed my hair to prepare for this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then talked to 2 friends.
Okay.
Was on the phone until like 10 to 1.
Oh, talking to them.
Mm-hmm. Hair not dried.
But it looks pretty like that, just pulled back.
Oh, no, I ran upstairs and I used my special dryer.
Oh, the pink one, the one that I own now.
For the last, minute of drying that it needed.
Right. The one that Lily comes and grabs from me.
Oh, I love it. I love that dryer.
So do I. I'm constantly pulling her hair out of it.
It's awesome. It's an awesome dryer.
Oh, I got such a headache. Oh, hold on. Why am I complaining about a headache when I've got medicine in my bag? Okay, so Mike's home from work.
Mm-hmm.
Can he hear you?
He's working in his office.
Okay, so are you downstairs? Are you downstairs by the window?
I'm downstairs in the dining room.
Oh, so hopefully the door-to-door salesman
don't show up.
Won't come. Right. Because we have all of our conversations. All right, here's what I was thinking. Let's see if I can drink this. Hold on. Or if there was enough in there. Okay, so here's what I was thinking, is that we just practice being on Riverside.
Yeah.
So that we're on it. And now I do think that if it's on your phone,
mm-hmm.
and there's a time in which we're like, hold on, let's go on Riverside. Yeah. It's just when we're done, you have to keep your phone, you have to keep the app open or the browser open until your recording uploads.
Oh, even on my side?
On your side. Yeah. So Riverside will record your separate, then your voice and video separate from my voice and video. So then when it's, produced or the recordings or whatever put together, it's just better sound.
Really?
Yeah. So that's it.
Interesting.
I have a story.
Okay. Share your story.
So remember I was telling you so this is going to be about 2-way agreements. And remember I was telling you that, multiple people, when I do these leadership workshops, we dive into 2-way agreements. And many, many, many times the examples that are used is something having to do with home, adult child or whatever. And every now and again, it will be something where there's a family business. And family business is obviously, as you can imagine,
tougher.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And so I really connected with this husband and wife who own a family business. I'm not even going to say what family business it is because I just wanted to stay confidential.
Yep.
And hit it off with them. They met Lily because Lily was at this retreat with me. In fact, during dinner, because dinner was outside and there was this big long table. I was on one side of the table and we weren't expecting for Lily to have dinner with us, but my client met her and said, Lily, why don't you stay for dinner with us? And so she was sitting at this end of the table, and she was sitting near the husband and wife who own and run this family and generational, really successful business. And so she talked with them and all that stuff, and that was wonderful. So then they reached out to me a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or whatever, about some leadership development and leadership coaching for one of their adult children who works in the business. And so so I've had multiple conversations with them, and we used the whole thing about two-way agreements. And what they were struggling with is not being able to figure out exactly where to plug him into the business where he would feel and be successful. And he's young, he's in his 20s, you know, and so anyways, all of that. And then the other thing that they're struggling with is when they were having conversations with him, sometimes he would just shut down and not communicate exactly what he wants or what he's feeling or what the struggle is or what the barrier is, or when he needs help, he doesn't ask for help fast enough. And then he might spiral into now I don't even know what I'm going to do. So anyways, so part of the conversation was, have you been super explicit, really explicit on what the expectations are, the expectations of the job? And you and I talk about this all the time. Like, what does it mean to show up on time? What does it mean to communicate better? What does it mean to deliver good work?
Yeah.
And keep going.
One of the things is oftentimes when we communicate and we say those terms, we assume that the recipient understands what we mean by that.
Right.
What our expectations or what our thoughts are on that. And that the recipient might have a completely different expectation of showing up on time.
Right.
What does that mean to them? Right?
Yeah.
It's just, and that's where that clear dialogue and, okay, so what did you say?
Well, no, that's it. That's what I want to get your perspective on. And here's the other thing is what I notice, and not just in this, these I'll say co-CEOs, they run different parts of the business, but they run different parts of the business, and husband and wife, and just like salt of the earth. And I was thinking about whether it's working with a family or leaders or peer groups or whatever, you get the two people together and they need to start defining. So take husband and wife. We talk about this all the time.
Yes.
Defining together what the expectations are and what good looks like.
Yes. So like when I talk to my friends, like my friend that I had a conversation with last week.
Tell me about that.
Yep. And I've talked to her about a two-way agreement with her children.
Yes.
Both children live at home and are going to college, right? So I've talked to her about the two-way agreement a couple of times. And I always say, like, you and your husband need to sit down and come up with what are the house rules, right?
Right.
What do you guys want and need and expect from your two children? And it's going to look different for each individual as well. I mean, that's just, I think, the reality of it, right? So the two of them need to come up with boundaries, rules, chores, defining that. And they need to come up with ahead of time the consequences.
Right.
Because one of the things that when I talk about a two-way agreement with parents, I say, then when you sit down with your child, right, or employee, you're presenting them the plan. You already have it typed up, right? Mm-hmm. But their buy-in is the consequences. That's their buy-in. when it comes to a two-way agreement at home, right?
Well, play that out. You've played that out for me before.
Yeah. So,
You could use me and you, whatever, but play out
well,
the
like
buying, the
for my
consequences.
friend, I used us as an example with her, right? Her daughter not coming home
Yeah,
all
wait, and
night.
how old is her daughter?
She's like 19,
Right, 19, so adult and living at home.
living at home.
Right.
I would say not mature
Mm-hmm.
enough to make good decisions, not making good decisions at home, right? Just not making good decisions. And she doesn't come home all night. She comes home in the morning and tells her mom she fell asleep in the college parking lot in her car and slept in the car. It's wintertime in Chicago. It's -4. And a mom believes of that
Because she wants to.
because she wants to.
She wants to
And
believe. She doesn't want to
had
believe.
the
Yeah,
other.
right. Keep
So
going.
I had the open conversation with my friend, and I said, I'm just going to tell you, she didn't sleep in her car.
Mm-hmm.
Your phone tracked her in the car because she left her phone in the car.
Right.
Because she's smart enough to know that you're tracking her on the phone. But she didn't sleep in the car.
Life 360, the Life 360 app.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
And so, once again, I talked to her. This was the second time that I've talked to her about the two-way agreement. And when we talked about the consequences, when you bring the child in to talk about that two-way agreement, the two-way agreement is, here's what we expect. Here's what living in our home, right? If you're living in our home, here is what you have to abide by. And now you get to help us with what are the consequences. And the great thing about that is most kids will go to an extreme, not kids, young adults, teenagers,
Mhm.
they'll go to the extreme for consequences, which really gives you, when you're saying, okay, you need to be home by midnight. If you don't call us or text us before midnight to say, hey, I'm running a few minutes behind, then there has to be a consequence. You know you're not going to be home before midnight. You have a cell phone. You can communicate, right?
Mhm.
So what should the consequence be? And I said, just let that kid go to the most extreme. I can't go out for a month. And what you get to do then is say, well, how about you can't go out next weekend?
Mhm.
And I remembered that with you, right? Because you clearly did the same thing. It was like this is what the consequence is going to be. And then when you hear, well, how about you just can't go out next weekend? Oh, okay, I can buy into that.
I can buy into that. And I think in that example, a lot of times we don't think that we are going to fall down on our expectations. I don't think I'm going to be late.
No,
My
no.
intention is that I'm going to not be late. And
Yeah.
so, oh my gosh, if I am, then the consequence, wow.
It should be a really big consequence.
When the chances are very high
Yes.
that I was going to be late.
Yes.
You
At
know.
least once.
Yeah, at least once.
At least once.
Right.
Because I think that part of it is a teenager, a young adult, an employee figuring out, oh, these consequences are here, and this is going to happen.
Right. And then different scenarios. So at some point I want, not today, because we're both like, oh my gosh, but at some point I want to take the two-way agreement and in conversation with you, apply it in a specific example in the workplace. But right now I want to keep going with family. And except for the example I was giving you, it's family and the workplace.
I think that makes it even more complicated.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. So you know how when you and I deconstructed, then I say this in every session I deliver. I say, my sister was wise beyond her years. Because you were. And so when I've deconstructed the two-way agreement, and now the two-way agreements that you and I talk about and we teach and we coach people to and all that stuff, there's 6 elements to the two-way agreement. And so for people that haven't seen this before, I'll tell you what the 6 elements are. And then I'm going to ask my sister, I guess I should have said, this is my sister, Maria. And then I'm going to ask my sister her perspective. So the 6 elements when I'm teaching the two-way agreement is, first and foremost, you can't commit to agreement if you haven't constructed one. And so
Yes,
you constructed, and now I apply this in everything. But number 1 is you got to start with the shared purpose. Like, why are we in this agreement together? What's in it for me and what's in it for you? And I'm just going to zip through this fast so anybody that's listening could be on the same page with these elements. So 1 is start with a shared purpose. And I'm going to overlay an example, the example of when I was 20 and I was living with you. So shared purpose was you wanted me to heal and I wanted to feel safe. Those are 2 different things, but in alignment with one another. And now I would say that's too broad even, because when you and I talk about two-way agreements, it's got to be confined and doable and measurable and you know, whatever they say about the SMART goals. So you and I, and you know, at the time, David said, okay, healing and happy, what we really need and want is 60 days of sobriety.
Yeah, you break it down into chunks.
Yeah, if we could just take healing and safe, not healing and happy, healing and safe, and chunk it down to 60 days. So that was the shared purpose. I wanted that. You wanted that. You know, and so and when we're teaching this to other people, I think it's hard to create want to. You know, if somebody doesn't want to be a part of the change, that's a different conversation. So let's put that aside. So that's number 1 is the shared why. Number 2 is building it together. And that's what you always did. And that's what you're talking to your friend about right now. Yep. That's what you're saying about the husband and wife talking, but it's in conversation. It has to be in conversation. Number 3 is making it clear. And that's where you always hammer, be explicit, be explicit, be explicit. Yep. You know, if the condition of me living with you was I needed to get help, that's not clear. But keep going. Go. You go.
No, go ahead. Finish it.
No, say what explicitly get help meant.
If that meant you need to go to counseling, you needed to go to counseling.
Right.
But let's do a flip side to that.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it's you need to go to counseling, but I'm bringing you into my home to help you heal and be safe, what is my responsibility in that?
Well, right. I think that's really good. What do I need from you in order to?
Yes. I mean, we could like chunk that down to, I don't think you can bring a situation like what we're talking about where you were at and say, okay, well, you just have to get counseling and then just like mic drop that. Right. And then have it in a contract and be like, okay, well, have you started getting counseling? I mean, that's not reasonable, right?
That's not reasonable.
It's not reasonable.
Right.
So if you say you need help, okay, we chunk that down. You need counseling. What is my responsibility? And what is your responsibility?
Yeah.
Once again, because I have a responsibility as well.
It's true. Because we're in this together.
We're in this together. And that shows you're safe. I'm building, right? That two-way agreement is building something that it's a safe platform where you know I'm here too. I've got part of this. Part of this is on me.
Well, and then, so you see a counselor once a week. Well, how about this? We even backed up. and the explicit expectation of getting help was finish outpatient care, whatever that was, right? All the doctor's visits, all those things, which you scheduled, which you drove me to, which you held my hand. So again, it wasn't, oh, well, you're expected to complete this outpatient care and all of these things, because I wasn't capable of that.
No,
I wasn't capable of it, but I was capable of going with you.
Yes. Yes.
So, right. So then it was, AA once a week, and counseling once a week. And, use the counseling. I wouldn't have had the capacity to figure that out. No way.
No. Yeah.
No way. So it would have not happened.
Yep.
But what you did is you were like, my role in this is I will find someone, I will set it up, I will drive you, I will wait in the waiting room for you. I won't ask you questions after.
I think that is setting you up for success.
Yes.
That's setting up the two-way agreement for success.
Totally. And explicit. And in a very minor way, we go back to the conversation about curfew with your friend, or curfew with Brittany and Jonathan growing up, or eventually curfew with Lily when she's driving.
Yeah.
The explicitness of the time, that does not mean that is when you are pulling into the, 12 o'clock is 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock is 12 o'clock.
Yep. And then being, explicit about the consequence. And then the last thing with make it clear with number 3 for us, and I use this in workshops, is a condition to living with you was, and this is not explicit, a condition to living with you was I needed to be a part of the family. And again, everybody that's listening to this, that doesn't mean anything.
What
does
that mean? What does that mean? Do you ever give parents like an outline for a two-way agreement?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I have them. Yes.
You have an outline?
I can't believe I haven't sent it to you.
No.
I have a whole
because we talk about it all the time. We talk about it.
Whole workshop thing now on it.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And in fact, the situation that I was telling you the example of, they just kind of used the outline to help them think through the questions when they're working on the situation. But yeah, I'm going to send it to you. I can't believe I haven't sent it to you.
Send it to me, because it, talking about like breaking down.
Yeah.
It's like you have, you're doing this outline and you're building this contract. And I think for one of the things, like when you're having that conversation with your child or coworker,
I was just looking for it to send it to you.
Yeah. And you're giving them, here's, you and your spouse have put together, you guys have communicated, you have the vision in your head, what you need and what you want to help your child progress. Like that's ultimately help your employee progress to become who they can become. I think one of the things that I could say, all I wanted for you, right here, you came addicted to drugs. Most people would say I probably wanted for you was to conquer that addiction. But ultimately, all I wanted for you was to heal and be happily married and be a mother. That was my ultimate goal. Like that's...
Man, you waited a long... Woo!
And we started, you can't see the camera, but we started a long ways from that. Yes.
Right.
But that was what, in my little head, where I wanted to see my little sister.
what I think is important that I want to call out about that is your long-term definition of success was far beyond what I could comprehend.
Yes.
But because you had the vision of happy,
Yep.
married and a mom,
Yep. Yep.
the decisions you made immediately about the things that I needed to do, a part of the agreement, played into that.
Yes. That was my point. That
Because
was
being part of your family,
yes.
and the way
Yes.
that you laid that out,
Yes.
gave me the first chance of experiencing
Yes.
what joy and happiness and family and love and children and all that stuff was all about.
Yes.
But you waited a long time. Because that's when I was 20. And Joe and I got married when I was 35.
Yeah.
Had Lily when I was 36.
Yeah.
Met little Joe when I was 30. So 10 years isn't really a long time, actually.
No, but 10 years seemed probably like a long time for us at that point in our lives.
Lifetimes.
It seems like a long time.
Right.
And that's probably because, I was raising kids at the time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hang on. So all I'm going to do now is zip through the other elements of the agreement.
Zip through them.
For anybody that's still following along with us is, so we have start with a shared purpose.
Yeah.
Build it together.
Yeah.
Make it clear.
Yep.
Make it clear is where everybody gets hung up. Number 3. But if you do not do number 3 correctly, you're not in agreement. You're not in agreement. You are in assumption.
Mm-hmm.
So when my sister with number 3 said, you need to get help meant this, and this. And when she said, you need to be a part of the family meant family meals 3 times a day, family meeting once a week, and church as a family on Sundays. That's making it clear. Once you've been crystal clear and explicit on the expectations, then you can go to number 4, which is what you hammer so much, which is, what are the consequences?
The consequences.
Because the consequences are tied to the expectations that you've made clear.
Yes.
And consequences they don't have to be punitive. What are the natural consequences? What are the logical consequences?
I think that there needs to be, for me, it always goes back to it needs to be a logical consequence. I think at this point in the conversation, when you're going through the 2-way agreement and we start talking about consequences, it's so important to talk about, for me, one thing that I raised Brittany and Jonathan with was the decisions you make today affect you the rest of your life. I hammered that, good and bad.
Yeah.
They have good consequences, good and bad consequences. No matter what, every decision will trickle down for the rest of your life.
Oh.
And those decisions are crucial. Those, you're going to make some bad decisions. Doesn't mean it's going to ruin your life. But the decisions you make today affect you the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And so making all of those decisions, including the consequences, needs to be something that I feel like that allows them to be successful. Right? You don't want consequences to be so great that the individual that you're trying to help progress and become the employee that they can become the child and that they can become. You don't want the consequences to be so great that they get discouraged, that there's no hope for them. Help them succeed, right? There needs to be natural structured consequences, but help them succeed.
Which plays into making the agreement or the milestones in the agreement smaller.
Yes.
And doable.
Yes.
And measurable and all that stuff. But you want, because I hear this Which this is tough. Uh, well, if they are late again, they can't live here.
See, that's way
Okay.
over. That's
But if that is truly, truly
if you
what you are saying, what you mean, go on.
you know what I'm going to say.
I know.
Never ever give a consequence that you cannot follow through with. You destroy the contract. The beauty of the contract, the two-way agreement, is that there's no yelling, there's no anger, there's no frustration. All of that is taken out of the mix. It's as simple as, and I always go back to the one time you showed up late. And
this was in high school.
Yeah.
This was our first two-way agreement.
First two-way agreement. First time you ever, and it was the only time you ever came home late. You walked in to the bedroom, checked in, no anger, nothing. All I had to say was, Trish, I'm so glad you're home. Tomorrow or next weekend you can't go out. That was it.
That was it.
There was no arguing. There was no pushback from you because you knew what was in the two-way agreement.
Yeah.
You knew before you came home.
But there was
That's the beauty of it.
And I had agreed.
And you had agreed. You helped participate in that two-way agreement.
Okay, so now do you remember? So this is going to now tie to you have to stick with the consequence.
Okay, all right, tell me.
And parents especially fall down on this.
Parents do.
Do you remember? I don't know if it was that time or I did something else where I lost my weekend privileges,
No,
but it was this time. And so remember, handsome
Yep.
Tim
Yep.
Daly. Was
Yep.
that
Yep.
So we had gone out to, because I got to give perspective on this. I was in high school and we had gone out to a military function, and I met a younger, but he was, 18 or 19 because he was in the military. Really cute, handsome, kind gentleman, he was a gentleman, right? And we hit it off and we had seen him and Dave knew him and all that stuff. Yep. And I think he was a pilot or he was going to flight school or something, or he was can't remember. And he asked me out on a date and it was a specific thing. He had tickets or something.
It was for that weekend.
Yes.
It wasn't like he could go the following weekend because it was like some kind of event.
And what people need to understand here is I was a mess. I had been in the worst relationships. I mean, you were pulling me out of the gutter in terms of the people I had hung out with, specifically the boyfriend I had in Las Vegas, which that will be a video for another time. Alex with a Y. Yeah. That I've been, like recontacting. So like I'm in the gutter. And any glimmer of hope that I might like someone or something good.
That was healthy.
Yeah. Was like, hallelujah. So you've got this super handsome, super nice.
Do you remember his dad was a politician?
I don't even remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just like, and so you and Dave, like he is somebody you would want me to date.
Absolutely.
And you remember, take the story from here.
And you came pleading and begging because it was tickets for that weekend. It was going to be your guys' first date.
Mm-hmm.
He was not the cause, by the way, for you coming home late the weekend before.
Good clarification. No.
Mm-hmm. He was not.
Mm-mm.
He asked you out for the first time for an event. I actually want to say it was like a military ball even.
Maybe. Yeah. It was so, yeah.
It was a big event.
Let's up the ante here.
Yeah. And it was hard. I mean, one of the things that I think it's easier as a mom to say no. It's harder as a sister to say no. Mm-hmm.
Dave would have caved, I think.
Dave would have?
Did I have that story right? Or no, he was still adamant no.
Dave was pretty adamant about
Okay,
a
good.
two-way
Good,
agreement.
Good. Yeah.
He was really good about, that's the one thing, like the two-way agreement between the two of us figuring that out. And so for us to have to say, no, sorry. And it did kind of break my heart. Like those are the hard parent things that you have to do, you know? But you never came home late again.
I never did. And Tim and I dated. We went on different dates.
I remember you calling and saying, I'm on my way. I'm only a few minutes late. I'll be home at about 12:05. And in the agreement, and this is for everyone that's listening, in the two-way agreement, it stated that very clearly. If you come home at 12:01, here's the consequence. If you call before 12 o'clock and say, I'm running a few minutes behind, I'm on my way home, no consequence.
Right. But remember, back then, there's no cell phones.
No cell phones. Yeah, you had to call from where you were at saying, I'm running a few minutes behind, I'm on my way home.
And that is the beauty of having very clear consequences and then following through with them, is you taught me, and you used the words, in order to adhere to the contract. If you don't follow through on the consequences, the contract is null and void. And more than that, and you know this because you taught me this through your actions, is I wouldn't have been able to trust you.
Yeah.
And you and I come from a place of no trust whatsoever.
Yes.
Zero trust in anyone.
Yeah.
Dad would always, do what he does and blow a gasket, and I'll never do it again, and I'm so sorry. And, like all the things, it was like a volcano.
It was a volcano. And he would also, even during the process of blowing up, give a huge consequence.
Yes. Oh, and we just started to learn.
Yep. Consequence is going to be null and void because he's going to feel so guilty over blowing up. Exploding. So therefore, we never had a consequence. Our only consequence was having him completely explode.
So what is it? How did you know how to construct the agreement? But let's go specifically to adhering and following through.
I think that growing up and seeing what Dad did, there's two things, I remember as a young teenager, like maybe starting at about 12 or 13, like putting in my head, I will never do this as a parent. I will never do this as a parent. And one of those things was, I will never like give this huge exaggerated consequence and then not follow through. Because the follow through, I just knew within myself. I was like, I know I could go out and do whatever. I'm going to take a beating, right?
Because it was literally.
Yeah, it was literally a beating. And I was probably the most defiant of all three of us. I could take a beating and I get to go and do whatever I want to do again until he catches me. And so I learned in that process of trying to work through my own teenage years of what kind of parent I wanted to be.
Yeah. So
because I had already figured out what kind of parent I wanted to be, when you came to live with us, I was like, well, I'm going to practice on. Let's practice everything that I've had in my head.
That's so awesome.
I'm going to practice.
And I don't, most of the time almost all the time when I'm delivering keynotes in these workshops, people don't know that I lived with you when I was in high school. Just because there's not time for it, and so sometimes in the Q&As we'll get into, especially when there's a lot of energy around two-way agreements.
Yeah.
And so I was in high school, you were pregnant with Brittany.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I love how you're just like, you'd practice on
I
me.
practiced on
And
you.
to your point, harder with me as your sister.
Harder, harder, because you and I
But
were
more at
best
stake.
friends.
Yeah.
Like I, but I also had, because I knew what you grew up in, and because
Yeah.
of the unbelievable love and friendship that we had, I had every vested of trying to help you excel. And so, like the two-way agreement we
I
talked
know.
about, yeah,
It's helping the person become.
it's
And
helping the
the way
person.
you said it, I sometimes I'll say, the a two-way agreement is when we care when we care about the success of something, a
Mhm,
project, an
mhm.
initiative,
Yep.
like we care about the success of something, or we care about the success of someone.
Mhm.
And then using your words, you're helping that someone become a little bit better, become a little bit stronger, maybe become a little bit more skilled, whatever it is, but you're
Yep.
helping them to become. The last two elements of the six elements of the agreement. So consequences is number 4. Number 5, you taught me this immediately, is say it out loud and write it down. It actually doesn't
Oh,
exist if it's not written down.
it doesn't. And I tell
And
people that too.
I
And
don't
remember,
care
we
how
signed
minimal.
it. We
Say
signed
that
it.
again.
We signed
Yes.
it
Yes, yes, yes.
and printed it, and it was visible. It was in a place, and that's something that I also talk about with parents. It needs to be in a visible place,
Yeah.
that where your teenager, your young adult, whoever it is, it's there. It's in front of them. They can't deny it. Whether it's on the refrigerator, if you don't want it public, it can be in their bedroom. But that's the contract.
That's it. I have one. I'm going to text it to you from when Lily was 10, and
Yeah.
it's a screen time contract. And we sat down, we did it together. Then I typed it out together. And then you can see your heart is going to melt. And then you'll see, like, I had 8 o'clock. It was when she had an Amazon Fire, and I had one for
Uh-huh.
Sam too.
Uh-huh.
So the Amazon Fire, it said like 7:15, end. And she had crossed out the 15 and she put 30 because we had negotiated together 15 or 30.
Oh,
And that's a part of building it together, is
I
because
agree.
especially if you could teach a young child or an employee, if they don't think it's reasonable, what is?
I
And
agree with you.
give me your perspective on why you think it is that way. And we need to
Well,
be open to it.
that's a really good point in having that conversation of parties. Because I
Yeah.
think that, right, as parents, when you come together and you're like coming up with the agreement before you meet,
Yeah, which makes sense.
right? So you know what points. You also know kind of what you want the consequences to be. Because
Right.
you're kind of trying to direct a little bit. Um,
Totally.
but let's figure out, when you're talking as parents, let's figure out a couple of points that are negotiable.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
have a voice in that.
So they have a voice in it.
And
Yeah. And it's like you use it with the consequence. Yeah.
like when you sit down and say, so no screen time after 7:15, and if you start out that conversation with, we're going to sit down, we're going to talk about what our expectations are.
Yeah.
We want to hear what your thoughts are. This isn't just us. You get to also tell us what you think. Because, then your kid could be like, well, I think I should be able to stay on until 8. And then that's that perfect negotiation of, well, how about 7:30? Right?
Yeah.
And you taught her a skill of negotiating.
It's so great. And it requires, in any setting with these agreements, what we're talking about right now, it requires you to authentically have an open mind,
Yeah.
to truly go into it with an open mind, which I fail at more than I succeed. But I'm not that I fail all the time.
Yeah.
But, I get very, because I've thought about something for so long and I know the rationale to why, just use 715 as an example. I know the rationale. I've thought about it for a long
Yeah.
time. I got all this stuff. But if you truly have an open mind to the person that you are entering into this agreement with,
Mm-hmm.
then you have an opportunity to come together and change perspectives and cross out the 15 and make it a 30. And she wrote 7:30 and then she put a little star and she said, if ready for bed.
Oh, wow. See, I think that that's beautiful that you started at such a young age with them.
Yeah, I've kind of gone like this.
But I think that that's a two-way
For the
agreement
most part.
to me
Yeah.
are when it's needed.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Or for very, like, I know for you, screen time is a very important issue.
Right. It's out of control. Right.
That is a very important issue for you. So it doesn't surprise me that you have a two-way agreement around screen time.
I know. So hang on. So you got to say it and you got to write it down. That's number 5.
Say it and got to write it down. Yes.
Right. And give a pen. Each of you should have a pen. Like you literally give this to the person that you're meeting with. Say, here you go. Yeah. So, and write it down. And the say it is to be able to say back to one another what you hear, so that our definition of on time or be at breakfast by night, like that we're both clear with that. Then the 6th element is staying connected, meaning having scheduled times where you're checking in specifically and solely about that agreement. And for us, it was the family meetings. Yep. We had weekly family meetings. Yep. And there was a time associated with that family meeting to what's working, what's not working, what needs to
together.
Yeah.
Counsel together.
Oh, say more.
Counsel together. I think, oftentimes, especially we as parents, we as employers, right? Maybe we speak a little too much. And we need to allow our children and our employees to have the opportunity to have a voice. And there's such life skills that are taught in that family council. What's working and what's not working. You go from that to hopefully helping your child communicate what their struggles are. Maybe perhaps they can come to that council and share with you as a parent what they need help with.
And if they can count on it every week, just to use it as an example, then they know, I think there becomes a trust that it's a protected time for them.
Yes.
It's a protected time for this particular journey that we're on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the same exact thing with employees. Like how many times one-on-ones are canceled or moved, or I'm not saying that things don't get in the way, but then what is worth protecting?
Mm-hmm.
And so those family meetings, and so we just feel strongly about family meetings, which I think we used to have family meetings here in the Kendall household. And honestly, they turned into, I think I drove Joe crazy. I think he would, like we've talked about this, where you could palpably, you can feel his tenseness. And I would write it up, and we would talk. And this is when the kids were really little, but it just turned into a debacle. So I started doing it based on events. and agreements and different stages and needing to recalibrate, like when we feel like something is like a little out of control, and even if we have an agreement in place, we're like, we need to recalibrate. And so we meet. So number 6 is you got to stay connected on it. So those are the 6 elements. And Maria, you taught them through your actions twice in my life, twice. And then we've since gone on for decades to teach others, and now formally teach and coach others how to construct the two-way agreements, because you can't commit unless you construct to it. And I think it's one of the most powerful things that anybody can do to show love.
I am in agreement with you.
We have more to come.
And more to come. Yeah. I was thinking about your client who has the family-owned business, and the 20-some-year-old, And how do you sit down then with him and have him share what his needs are?
They did it.
They did? Good.
But that is the big question with anyone, right? Like, how do you do it? When do you do it?
What are your needs? And I think that for them, you started off, right, what I said at some point, because it's a family member, they want this for him.
Yes.
They want this, just like what I said, right? I wanted to see you happy, healthy, married with children. If I gave that to you when we sat down to do our little two-way agreement, you were in no state.
Right.
You were in a state of taking it by chunks.
That's
by chunks.
Just right on. Because all they care about is his enduring health and happiness.
Yep.
Forever.
Yes, forever.
So this is just one stage to help with confidence and learning and supporting him as he becomes, and doing it in a way. Okay, we got to wrap up.
Okay,
because I got to get ready to pick Sammy up from the bus stop. But my to be continued, the to be continued is going to be two-way agreements. Well, maybe I'll just tell you what's so the to be continued is going to be about Lily and potentially Instagram. She's almost 16.
Yeah.
Joe is still adamantly, I don't know that he's adamantly no, but her final friend from Montessori school, the Montessori parents, we all stuck together with this.
Yeah.
Like I think it's the only people in the world that did not give their kids social media. And her last standing friend without any social media just got it for her close to 16th birthday. But her mom is like identical to us, like two-way agreements, structure, consequences, all of the things. So just very maniacal about it. And so it just opens up the conversation that Joe and I need to have together. And then with Lily, and I'll just tell you one thing, which is she and I were driving home from school yesterday, or theater. So it was like 7:00 at night. And I was like, okay, you're going to have to start having a conversation with Dad. The two of you need to start having a conversation. Me having it on behalf of you. I've said what I need to say. And I said, but let's talk through scenarios. if you got an Instagram account, let's talk through scenarios, certain things. And one of the things that we were talking about is a limit, a 30-minute limit. And this goes to having an open mind, because Lily's mature and emotionally solid.
Yeah.
Right. And academically solid.
Yeah.
And she said, you know what, Mom? She said, that makes me feel really constricted. She said, if we look at my phone use over the last 30 days on average, and then she gave me the average, which is like 22 minutes.
Wow.
Because except for the weekends, but put that aside. And she said, why do you want to have the limit? And I said, because it makes me feel safer.
Yeah.
And she said, okay. She said, like, I can get that. She said, what if we put into the agreement that after 30 days, we will look at my phone and see what I'm averaging? So it gives me a chance to just, because she was like, I believe I won't be on it for more than 30 minutes because that's not my behavior.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Good for her.
Yeah.
So once again, right, she's already negotiating and constructing her own, she's initiating the two-way agreement. Think about what she just did. She's starting and initiating a two-way agreement because that's what you've taught her.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so if that's how we start, right?
Yeah.
Then what happens, and then you guys are going to talk about, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, so there still has to be the consequences in place. Even when she says, Mom, I would never post a picture of me in a bathing suit.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I believe that today.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be super clear about what the expectations are. And there's no posting. You're like, so you can, you know what I mean? Like in her mind, why would there be something, a part of the agreement that she doesn't believe that she would ever do or not do?
I'm going to send you something.
Oh yeah, send it to me. And then you got to force me to say goodbye because I gotta go get Sammy here in a minute. Yeah. Wait, are you emailing it or texting?
Right here. One of the things that Michael has been talking about lately, and he's told me that the next thing that's coming down the pipeline are children and teenagers and young adults forming romantic bonds with AI chat.
Oh yeah, no. I'm horrified.
Yes.
Horrified.
Yes.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Real thing. Okay, more to come. Right. Everybody that's with me, my Maria and me, thank you for being along this journey with us. Choose and become.
Love you.
I love you too.